Hello, my fellow nerds, and thanks again for watching another episode of Nerdboy Gaming. I am Nerdboy81, and welcome survivors to what is going to be the 1-year anniversary of Ark Survival Ascended. Next week, ASA will officially hit 1 year old, and it's been a ride since launch. So let's dive in to see where ASA is now, where it's come from, and what lies ahead. And let's be honest, ASA had a rough start. It dropped with only one map, no mods. It was plagued with stability issues, server crashes, bugs, cheaters ran rampant. The communication, while a bit misleading, from the decisions to stop official support on ASE to what some may say are a few white lies along the way. There is no doubt that ASA launched early. See, Snail Games got into financial issues, created a exclusivity with Nitrado, and had to launch this game in October of 2023. It was not ready. And because of the miscommunications, the shutdown of the official servers on ASE, it was going to be free, but now it's a charged, and it was a remake or a remaster. Because of that miscommunication, there was a bit, people were frothing at the mouth as it was, and then the game drops, and it was a huge mess. It was not ready for consumption, and frankly, it was buggy, poorly optimized, and had a lot of issues. So you can certainly say it was not a smooth ride. But Wildcard pushed forward, and over the past year, there's been a push to turn things around. Here's where we are now. Snail Games, the publisher behind ASA, was in financial trouble. Its stock was dipped below $1, which cannot trade under $1 for more than 6 months. So they had to get it above $1 by November. Luckily, they've seen a resurgence since they dropped Aberration. The stock is now at $1.96 for over $1 for 10 consecutive days. At the time of filming this, it was $1.96. And so they saw a resurgence with Aberration and also the acquisition of 3 indie games, Honeycomb, The World Beyond, Castle of Secrets, and Stoneguard. They acquired the publishing rights to. So between Aberration, Bob's Tall Tales, the little bit of success they were getting, and the new indie games, we've seen the stock rise. ASA has sold 2.6 million copies for them. Bob Tall's Tales have sold 400,000 copies alone. Premium mods have brought in 1.6 million. So with the release of premium mods, the downloadable content, and the game, Snail Games is starting to see a steady revenue stream coming from ASA. However, when it comes to player counts, ASA hit its peak at 98,000 in its launch. More recently, in the last 60 or 90 days, it hit its secondary peak at 36,000, and that was the release of Aberration back in September. But now it averages just about 17,000 players a month. Now, these are Steam numbers. They are not Xbox and PlayStation, so those could tilt the scales a little bit, to be fair to Ark and Wildcard. However, when you compare that to ASE, which in the last 12 months, its peak was at 65,000, but it holds a steady player base of roughly 37,000. And if you take over the last 12 months, the average, it's about 23,000 a month. Some might argue that ASE having a stronger player base probably deserves more support for its official servers that were shut down. That is another story on another day, an entire different conversation. But in my opinion, it was a huge mistake for them to shut down servers for a game that had so much success while they were relaunching a remake of a game that would have one map. The reviews on Steam are mixed. The opinions are divided. And it's a similar story with the players I talk to, whether it be in my Discord, in the comments of my videos, and comments of other people's videos, people I know who played the game, veterans who have had thousands and thousands of hours who I've talked to and somewhat interviewed for this video. I got pretty much the same conversation. The game is good, but, and that seems to be the consensus. The game is good, but. So let's talk about what people do love about the game and what is still driving them crazy. So let's talk about what is the good and then what is the but. Probably number one thing I hear is the quality of life improvements, especially for console players who never had mods before. Quality of life improvements baked into ASA have been probably the number one thing that I hear the most when I look at comments and things on why people really like ASA or what they like about ASA. The mods have been great, especially again for console. You've never had a chance for mod. The new maps, Asteros, the premium mods, all of those are bringing new content, new dinos, the baby dinos, Those are some of the things I hear consistently as being things that people have really enjoyed with ASA. At times, the game is stunning, truly beautiful, and especially on higher end rigs, this game can look really nice. Wildcard is plugging away. They're pushing out new content. They're creating fixes and patches. I see patch notes regularly on the Discord or new announcements of new updates coming. A little slower for console, especially Xbox, just because of the process for certification. But I see a lot of pushes and patches and updates coming. They've also added a lot to the game within the community center, events, a lot of little things like that. So at the core, that seems to be what is the good, the things that I hear the most excitement around when I talk about Ark Survival Ascended. However, it's not all good. And I may be a little bit nitpicky here, but it has been a year since the launch of the game. And the game is still poorly optimized, especially for lower end graphic cards and, in my opinion, console. As I have stated before, I run on a console Series X, and the game just doesn't look that clean. Now, I did play around a little today with going into the command center or whatever you call it and turning off fog, turning off clouds, and it made a little bit of a difference. The water did look better, but it still struggles. There's still pixelation in the water, and when you don't turn those things off, the water doesn't look great. The clouds still look like an oil painting. The game just isn't optimized that great for consoles and the lower end PCs. And there's still, when you walk around, ground popping, flickering, shadow issues with the rendering of the shadows, the lighting, floating rocks. And don't even get me started on the way the sky looks at night. They destroyed the moon. And I'm going to be that guy. I'm the moon guy. I'm going to be the guy that constantly complains about the moon. The moon looks like somebody went out with their iPhone and took a picture of it in the night sky without any filters or knowing how to take a picture of a bright object. And so at night, you just get this big, bright moon. You look at the moon in ASE, it looks amazing. The sky, the night sky, the stars look amazing. Much, much better than ASA, in my opinion. But that is just one of the things that I have to knock it down on a little. The optimization is still probably the biggest issue for me. There's also the slow release of maps. They put out a roadmap about a year ago in their last November during their Extra Life event. They put out a roadmap. Now, this is a total double-edged sword because in one hand, they put out the roadmap to give us confidence in what's coming, but then on the other side, if they don't achieve it, we get angry. You put it out, you need to do it. But if you don't put it out, then we're going to ask for it. And so you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. However, they put out a very aggressive roadmap and we haven't hit it. We should have a lot more content now than what has actually come out based on the roadmap and where we are. And then there's the monetization. For some, I've heard this from a lot of people, it's pay to win. I don't really play multiplayer, so for me, it's not that big of a deal. I've been mostly focused on single player, but I have heard from the community, the monetization, the pay to win, the Pyromane, the Oasisaurus, some of the features you get when you buy dinos. They're walking a really fine line between it becoming a true pay to win with in-game purchasing versus downloadable content that brings, like, for instance, Bob Tall Tales across 3 maps is probably worth it at $30. The Pyromane probably should have been something, in my opinion, that was included with Bob Tall's Tales, not something that was, and I know that came out on the center. Maybe you do it for that map, but then for it to show up on Aberration and others, people were not happy about that. It's a toss-up for me, but pay to win is definitely a negative that I hear a lot about in the community. And of course, we can't forget about the bugs, the crashes, especially the ones that were part of the base game in ASE. Or Wildcard, Snail Games told us this was a remake, not just a remaster. It was all new code. But the bugs that came out with ASA, and some have been fixed, but some are still there. But the bugs that came out were part of the base game in ASE. And that tells me that that was not entirely true, that this was a remake, not a remaster. This really was putting makeup on the pig, but unfortunately it's 2 a.m. and the pig's makeup is smeared on the pillow. But there is a path forward. There are some good things coming to ASA. We are in the release window right now for what should be the Unreal Engine update. We were told between October 15th and November 15th that update would be coming. Admittedly, there hasn't been a lot of conversation about it. There hasn't been a lot of promises or things said by Wildcard, but that is supposedly still in this window between now and November 15th. I'm guessing that's going to get pushed back, but for me, this is probably the one thing I'm most hopeful for that could optimize the game a bit, maybe clean up some of the rendering of the textures, some of the rendering of the assets, and really make this game pop a little bit better. I honestly would say for ASA, if they took a little out to give us a little bit more in the rendering and the graphics, maybe a few less trees, a few less rocks, a few less bushes, but then gave us what we see, it would make a huge difference. It would, if we could see the game the way it's supposed to. The water needs to look better. The sky needs to look better. You shouldn't have to turn on and off clouds and these other things. That's the reason why people buy consoles. I mean, really, at the end of the day, there's three reasons somebody buys a console. They buy it for the convenience of being able to play in your living room. They buy it because you don't want to have to deal with drivers and graphic settings and all that stuff. And three, it's typically price. Although now consoles are costing as much as PCs. I'm looking at you, PlayStation. Anyway, back to my point. Unreal Engine, hopefully that update will make some adjustments and really help those with the lower end graphic cards, those mid-tier computers, and the Xbox Series S, the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5. Hopefully we'll be able to run this game a little bit better after that update, and we're in that window right now. We have Fear Ascended dropping on October 30th. It sounds a little late to me, but whatever, it's dropping. You're going to get it for a bit of time, so that's really nice. And that's going to be coming. We're also likely going to get a Turkey event and probably Winter Wonderland. Extinction is set to release on December 16th. Plus, we might hear some news during their Extra Life event on November 2nd. That's a 24-hour podcast. It's going to have entertainment. There's likely to be potentially a new roadmap. I would imagine we're going to get some updates on Unreal Engine. We should get some updates on Extinction, Ragnarok, what's to come. Maybe the surprise that we will be talking about in a second. But there's still some good things to come, and there still is a path forward. However, when you look at the future, you look at the roadmap, the current one is irrelevant. It has really missed their deadlines in a lot of ways. We missed Ragnarok. Extinction has been pushed to December. There has been no information on the surprise Survival Ascended map. That could still drop in November. I mean, there's still technically hope for it. They do sometimes shadow drop stuff or are slow to announce things. However, I'd have to imagine that's going to be pushed, but that's just speculation. There's no actual notes on whether or not that's happening. With the map as it is, and based on the delays and how long it's taking to get maps out, we're likely to see stuff coming into mid 2026. And then there's the additional canon maps that they talk about, they mentioned, that would be to be announced later. Those would be, end of 26, maybe 2027. And then, of course, there's Arc 2. Are we really looking at mid 2027 on that? It's really hard to note. So perhaps during the Extra Life event, we'll see a new roadmap. Maybe they'll give themselves more time. I think people would understand it takes about 3 months to get a map out. I think that's okay. It'd be better if that map had new content or another Bob's Tall Tale type thing, more lore, then probably people would get behind it. If it's just a pure remaster, kind of like the center was, then it should come faster. Despite all the ups and downs, I am excited for where we're heading. We are heading, in my opinion, in the right direction. I'm excited for the potential of the Unreal Engine update. Knowing that I could turn fog and clouds off and get a little better experience does kind of help. I'm a little bit more interested in playing. I have been playing more recently on ASE. I still would argue, and again, this is probably another video that should be made, that they really made a mistake by shutting off the official servers for ASE for a game that would only have one map. I know they have lack of resources and there's probably only so much they could do, but they really should have left that on so that people could continue to play ASE on official, feel like part of the community, and not like a stepchild that has been thrown to the side after all those years. That's my own personal opinion. Maybe because I am playing ASE on the island, trying to finish that storyline, that I feel this way. But I do feel like that was a miss. I also still think and would put... I still believe that ASA should have started with a new map. It was maybe bad preparation on their part, maybe lack of planning, But if they had launched ASA with a brand new map, new lore, new canon, new story, doesn't have to be a whole new story. They could have either picked up where they left off, or they could have started something sooner, or I don't know the full story, so I can't even speculate where they would go, but I am sure they could have found a way to start a new arc with new lore, with new notes and new characters, maybe even. I guarantee we would have been playing that right now and still in love with the game more than we are. We probably would have seen more people come over. And as we waited for the other remastered content to come, the problem is this is all content that has been played before by the community. Not by me, but by most of the community. And that, I think, is a reason why we see such negativity and why we still see 25,000 players or so every month still logging into ASE, whereas ASA is only getting about 17,000. My biggest hope going forward is optimization. Get this game optimized. Make it more accessible to some of the lower end PCs. Make it look better for the consoles. Provide a cleaner, smoother experience. And let's continue to step in the right direction. Again, fingers crossed. I have a lot of hope. I'm putting a lot of faith in the Unreal Engine update, frankly. New content will always be king. If that surprised map, we didn't know what it was, but I'm assuming it was going to be a map. If that was what it was coming, I think we'd be okay if it was a bit buggy. I really do. If we'd gotten new content, I truly believe we'd have been okay that it was a bit buggy, maybe had crashes, because it would have been new. It wasn't just the island again. That's my personal opinion. I really think that was a misstep for them early in this process when they started. A year later, the game is growing. Arc's been relatively steady at its peak numbers after the initial launch excitement faded. I think there's really two camps of people right now, people who like the game and are playing it or enjoying it, and then there's the camp that are just really frustrated with the missteps, the miscommunications, the white lies, the blatant lies, the cheating, the things that happened. There are just some that will not ever be able to get behind this game and who are really disappointed in Snail Games and Wildcard. I still have hope. I think we can move in the right direction. But guys, tell me what you think in the comments below. What are you satisfied with the way the game is today? What would you rank it on a scale of 1 to 10? What's your favorite features? What's your least favorite? Add them in the comments. I read every comment, and at some point I respond to almost every comment. It's how I've kind of built some of these videos. I look at what the community's saying. I talk to other individuals. I know I don't have as much experience in the game with the number of hours. I'm probably 150 and 200 hours. I'm a baby in comparison to many of you. But I like the game. I have hope for it. I want to see it continue to grow. We will see what happens as we continue to plod forward. So guys, if you're new here and you haven't done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really does help the channel out. If you like the video, throw up those thumbs, leave a comment below. I would really like to know what your thoughts are. And of course, if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get more content like this. You're going to also, I've got my playthrough of the island. Currently, I'm on episode 103. I just started a new playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 1 that'll be coming at some point in the future. I've got a Minecraft video in the editing bay. I've got some hours of Baldur's Gate in the can. So there's some things coming down the line. I know content's a little slow, but that is what it is. I've got a family and I'm a working guy, so what can I say? But anyway, guys, I really do appreciate it. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. But anyway, until next time, have a great day.